New site, new challenges. Hi, I'm Parish and welcome to this week's video. Tell us about young Rutu. How did you find yourself falling into this world of property development? What was your first project and were you kind of afraid to take that big jump?
Probably the honest answer is yes. So we're at about 22 million on this site.
So how much is this property worth? Most people would quit.
Well, quitting's not an option.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this week's video. Today we are in lovely Hertfordshire, just outside of London, where we are about to meet a very successful property developer by the name of Rutu Buddhdev, who is the founder of Amara Properties. Not only is she smashing it in the world of property development, but also her interior design business. I've been trying to lock this meeting in the diary for some time now, so I'm really excited to not only meet her, but check out her amazing site. Let's go. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hey, how are you doing? All right?
Good. Thank you.
Good to meet you.
It is.
Good to be here.
I know.
All right, so should we take a look?
Yeah, let's go inside.
Before I sort of launch into a bunch of questions, let's start right back at the beginning.
Okay.
Tell us about young Rutu. Where did you grow up? And when you were a child, what did you want to be?
Wow. Well, I guess I knew I always wanted to run my own business, so there's a little bit of that going on here. But
Yeah.
I grew up in Tanzania in East Africa, came to the UK to study.
Yeah.
Loved the country, loved the place, fell in love here, got married. And in 2011, started my own business, Amara Property, and yeah, it's been a serious journey since then.
But when you were a child, you didn't obviously have any idea you were going to be doing this, right?
I come from a family where, my parents had run their own business, and I guess that's what I saw growing up.
Yeah.
Maybe that just normalized it.
Yeah.
And I always found I was really interested, in that business journey, the challenges that they faced every day, the ability to grow something, to make a real impact in the local environment that we lived in. And that always really resonated with me.
That's good. Here we are.
And here we are, yeah.
So, what inspired you to follow a career path in property developing? Because you weren't always on this career path, right? You didn't come from a construction background or
Not
anything.
at all, no.
How did you find yourself falling into this world of property development?
I think what I loved about it is that it's something tangible. You're creating something that you can touch, that you can feel, that you could live in.
Okay.
My background was more within finance, I guess, and I think with property or with any business, understanding the numbers is
key.
It's the fundamental,
That's what a property
ingredient.
development comes down to ultimately, right?
It does.
It's at the end of the day, it's kind of a finance
Yes.
game. Lots of construction involved, as you can see, but
there is, and I think the other elements you can build into it. The design, the construction, the plan. But end of the day, if it's not viable and it's not profitable, you really just, it's difficult, I think, to then grow it as a business.
Cool. Better get some PPE on.
Definitely.
So, the name Amara Property, that's your business, that's your property development business.
Yes.
How did you come up with the name?
You know what,
Where's
I
that
really
come from?
did dig my brain when I started, but Amara, it's a Hindi word, it means hour. And I just thought with a home, it's something shared, it's something that belongs to a group of people normally. So it just kind of led itself to that. And I kind of always liked the way it sounded.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool name. It's certainly got a ring to it, and I'm hearing it more and more in the industry. Your name is kind of, you've created a...
Amazing to hear. I think, look, end of the day, we're growing as a business and we're trying to do more developments simultaneously. And part of that, I guess, was trying to get our name out there, doing a bit more marketing, doing a bit more on social media, and that always helps. But yeah, it's all part of the growth journey, I guess.
Yeah, great. So how long has Amara Property been going for?
So I founded the company early part of 2011.
Yeah.
So we've crossed 13 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of say
incredible.
we're officially teenagers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been a journey. I think I do think the first 10 years, were the foundation years.
Yeah.
And after that period passed, I feel we've really kind of been able to almost master what it is that we're doing, and then be able to kind of replicate that and grow that model. So the last couple of years, the focus has totally shifted, to try and really grow the business.
So early stages were putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
All the parts of the machine.
Exactly, exactly. Because I mean, now we're not just developers; we're also main contractors. Which is not something I did at the early part of Amara's journey. But we naturally transitioned that way because we wanted to have more control on site, from a quality perspective, because we build luxury homes, but then also from the perspective of budget control, program control, and it's really helped. I think being able to transition that way has allowed us to build better quality homes at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak from our perspective as well. Like we've also been on a similar path. We're also now principal contractor as well, and like you say, it does give you a bit more control of the whole process.
It does,
especially when things change during construction, and you
Which they
need to
always
adjust and value engineer, and
Always,
so you have a bit more control in that sense. So talk me through, what was your first project?
So my first one was, it was a pub local to where I lived, and it was located, not far from the high street. I used to pass it all the time, and the location was so great, but the pub was really derelict.
But you didn't go to it all the time?
It was so derelict.
Right,
it was so derelict. You couldn't walk in. And it had this big for sale sign and was there forever.
Yeah.
And I just kind of called the number one day and organized a viewing and saw that, the pub, it had planning permission, actually. It had planning permission to be extended to become a big restaurant. But they had no parking provision. So they were really struggling to sell it on. And then it just kind of sat there. And I guess when I did see it in 2011, probably wasn't even the best time in the market for the sellers. But I kind of saw an opportunity in that because of its close proximity to the high street, that apartments would work really well in that location. So we just used the existing planning permission and converted that into 3 apartments. We did a change of use.
Okay.
And converted that into 3 apartments, and then literally that was kind of the beginning.
Okay.
Got a main contractor involved at that stage, and then we kind of started building the project out.
Nice. Okay. And was that self-funded at that stage?
It was. I was, helped by lots of friends and family. And I think, as it is in this industry, it's really difficult to go out and fundraise if you don't have track record.
That's true, yeah.
So I think the early projects were a great foundation. 1, to build track record. 2, to almost learn on the job, because it was the first time I was doing it. When I look back now, I see there were so many, things I could have done better. Mistakes of design choices that I probably made, all of that, and that first project is where I feel like was the biggest learning curve.
Yeah. But you proved yourself. Were the next few projects from that quite similar as well? Similar scale?
They were. I mean, they got a little bit bigger in size, but geographically they were similar.
Right.
So I think once we started one project there and got to know the local agents, the leads kind of started coming from the local agents.
Okay.
So my next 2 projects were actually not that far away, maybe maximum 10-minute drive from the first one.
When I look back at my first 2 projects, they were quite similar as well, and they were very close proximity to each other as well.
I think it's because you get comfortable with the local market.
Yeah.
You've done your market research locally.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then to do something else after doing that research already does make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. No, you're
Maybe
right.
it's a natural transition.
Yeah. So we both started at a similar time, actually, after the financial crash.
I mean, how did you find it starting after the financial crash?
Well, everyone was telling me not to not to buy a property.
Not the right time.
It wasn't the right time, but I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
It was the perfect time, actually.
Yeah. When I reflect back, I think the same thing. It was the perfect time.
And I think now, post-COVID, we're kind of going through a similar. There's definitely similarities to post-financial crashes. There was a kind of a reset
Yes.
in the market.
Yes.
And some great opportunities out there. Yeah.
Definitely.
So one important question I have to ask is, in a predominantly male-orientated industry, how have you navigated yourself through all of this as a female developer?
You know what? Interestingly, when I started, I didn't even think of that. I probably realized that after starting a project and joining the industry, and almost naturally seeing that there were very few women, not just on the development side, but on the site side, even on the professional team side.
Yeah.
It is a very male-dominated industry. So I think that there's a lot of growth potential just by bringing in more women into the industry, bringing in that increased diversity. And I'm actually really passionate about that. And I think it would be really, really good for our industry to become more diversified, which it currently, it lacks compared to a lot of other industries in the UK.
Just can't imagine how it must have been you launching into your first project, dealing with contractors and stuff like. I mean, how was that a bit of a challenge coming from your finance background and then?
Yeah, it was really different. It was really, really different. But what I thrived off was, I would attend site every day. And I loved seeing progress, like in front of my eyes, seeing this kind of building come up and, the spaces come to life.
Yeah.
So I don't really think about it. I just loved what I was doing. And I was just really excited to have that opportunity to prove myself on my first project. Yeah.
Do you find that the whole, you say that you were looking forward to seeing the progress. Do you still have that now? You're involved in much larger sites. Do you still have that same?
That's a really good question. You know what? I think it is different. It's evolved. I still love coming to site. I don't come every day to site. That's probably the biggest change, but I do love the journey of it. And I think what's happened over time is I've been able to grow a team and, really, really put my trust and reliance on my team to deliver what our vision will be for the site. So, no, the passion is still there. It's just, it's evolved, maybe.
Just think about like where our journey has gone. Like when we first started to like where we are now.
Yeah.
Like what a sort of up and down ride that's been. And what a learning curve as well. Like completely different. I mean, you're involved in like this huge project now. I mean, did you ever think that you'd be involved in schemes this size?
Honestly, never. It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
But the fundamentals of the project are the same. I mean, if it's a smaller site or a bigger site, because the steps are the same, the scale is just different.
Yeah. We take a look at some of the houses.
Yes, come in.
So, tell us about this site.
So,
what are you building here?
We're building 6 very individual detached houses. You can see all the different stages. Each single house is unique, and we've really, really prioritized the uniqueness of the design to make sure that, every layout is different. Externally, internally, obviously the specification level is the same.
Yeah.
But it really individualizes each of the houses, and it makes, I think, this development really unique. And I do think people want to have a unique house.
I think so.
There's value in that, not just a financial value, but also there's an enjoyment value in that.
Yeah.
So we've got 6 houses here. We've got a main driveway coming in. It's going to be a gated entrance. With a water feature at the front, fully landscaped, drive up to each of the houses. And then each house has its own kind of front courtyard, own garage.
Yeah. It's going to look great. I mean, I totally agree about the individual styles of the properties. The last thing people want is buying a property in another development that just looks the same.
Exactly. It is a lot more work, right? Because
I guess from a developer's perspective,
it's so much easier
it's like dealing with 6 individual projects.
I mean, it's so easy to kind of build the same house type 5 times.
Yeah.
Because the level of detail you have to go into isn't as much as you just do for one house type.
Yeah.
Whereas with something like this, you're literally doubling up on the work.
Yeah. I guess that's where that's the big difference between SME developers and like the bigger nationals. I mean, we're able to kind of do this.
Yeah,
right?
we have the flexibility,
flexibility.
to do that.
Let's have a look at some of this.
So we're entering the garage here. It's a little bit of a backward way in. There's a cinema room up there. Wow.
What's the square footage of this property, for example, just to give the audience a bit of an idea of size and scale?
So all the houses vary, but they're about 5,000 to 6,000 square feet each.
Okay.
This is one of the larger ones. You're closer to the 6,000. And this plot.
That's big. 6,000.
Yeah, it is big.
Yeah.
And I think what helps is the fact that you've got the garage.
Yeah.
You've got the annex above, so you really are adding to that square footage.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the open plan living space. We always have an open plan living area. We may have secondary space as well, but the main living area is always, I believe, the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we really want to have different, elements to that. So we've got
this is a kitchen island, I can see.
a big island with a breakfast bar going in
Place
there.
to entertain.
Yes, and then we're going to have a secret door from where we walked into. So it's going to be kitchen units all the way.
Oh, wow.
And you're literally going to open one of the kitchen doors and then go into your utility room, which is hidden in the back.
Amazing.
So that's a nice little touch.
I need to ask you, how did you find this site? Did you purchase it with planning permission, or did you go through the process of obtaining planning permission yourself?
No, this one we actually purchased with planning permission. So it came through Savills.
Okay.
We loved just the site, the location, it all kind of made sense for us. And then we partnered with Close Brothers, who are the funders on the site. And
have to give a shout out to Close Brothers.
Yes, we have to. They were very supportive. And so literally we started the journey June of last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. When you buy things with planning permission, do you tend to sort of optimize the design slightly? Or do you,
always. I think it's really hard to have a planning permission that's fully catered for everything that we want it to be. And there's all different stages. So sometimes we'll do the simple version where we've bought the site with planning permission and we're just kind of optimizing the internal layouts to how we would like them to be designed.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're really looking to add a bit more value, so we might take a bit more of a redesign angle. I mean, we did a site a couple of years ago, which was a site which had planning permission for 7 houses, but then the big house was so big that we made that into our semis and made it from 7 units to 8 units.
Right,
so there was a bit of a redesign on one element of the site.
So there's always additional angles you can, I guess.
It's maximizing, isn't it?
Maximize
the value
on schemes,
site.
because some people think that the uplift is already kind of gone when you purchase sites with planning permission, but there are always clever ways of optimizing the scheme even further and creating more uplift.
Exactly. There's less scope, I guess, but then again, you've got the planning permission, so there's already less risk.
Yes, exactly.
So it balances itself out, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this looks great. Yeah, let's continue.
Thank you. One of the really nice things we've done here is we've kind of got the Amara bespoke kitchen ranges that we're putting in here. They're like our high-end German manufactured kitchens. So it's really exciting that we're able to put our kitchens into our development.
Wow.
So you can see all the first fixes in. We've got our AC units all in there. This is the entrance hall. So what we've got is, so the formula of each house is the same, but the layouts, like I mentioned, are different. So all the houses will have the open plan kitchen, dining, family area that we just walked through. And then we've got on the ground floor as well a separate study and a more formal living space.
Yeah.
So here we have the study, which is quite a large size, as you can see, and we're going to do it so that we've got the almost like the desk in the middle of the room, and then you've got this sort of fireplace detail and maybe a mini bar or something on the side. I guess now what they've been wanting to work from home.
You can see you've got gone for the dark floors as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So you do all the interior designing yourselves as well. You have
We do.
Am I right in saying that you have your own interior designing business as well?
Yeah. So I mean, in the early days, I kind of dabbled and did it all myself, and now we've got an amazing team in house because we want to be design led in everything that we do.
Yeah.
So as soon as we start our project and we look at the layouts, the first thing we do is get the interior designers to look at it. instead of the construction team to look at it,
Yeah.
just to make sure that the layouts are optimized with the flow of space and the space planning, and make sure that every area of the house or apartment is really utilized properly. So I'll show you the formal living space now.
Oh, God.
So got like a marble fireplace going in there.
Wow.
Big wall
wonderful.
for like art, chandelier in the middle. And then the kind of all these rooms then lead to the outdoor area. So this is going to be fully landscaped. It needs to be cleared. You can see the mounds there. And we'll do an outdoor kitchen with a living space, another kind of dining space as well.
Wow.
I think it's just
Incredible.
an extension of indoor-outdoor living.
Yeah. So on this particular site, this development, what is your projected end value? GDV means, the gross development value. So what is the GDV on this site?
So we're at about 22 million on this site, between the 6 houses. So they're quite high value properties.
High value, I can tell.
Yes, and we need to make sure, I guess, with a high value property that it's really got all, that specification to go with the price tag.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the size of the house that determines the value, it's really then how you specify that house. So like, for example, here we've got all the lighting automation, the Lutron systems, you've got your air conditioning, underfloor heating. We've got traditional gas like for the fireplaces, but then we're also running on air source heat pumps. So we're doing the sustainable kind of home heating as well. And end of the day, all of that just increases your cost.
Yeah.
So it's a different, I think, model of build.
Yeah. And so you do a lot of your developments are sort of on the outer fringes of London or the surrounding home counties. Because I'm used to like more central urban environments where there's faster movement of the market. Whereas in I guess I'm presuming in rural locations, sales are a bit more slower. Like, do you ever worry about that, or
I think it depends on the timing of the market.
Exactly.
When there's, we also do a lot of off-plan sales, for example. So that's pretty regular in this end of the market. And I think because we're not as rural, we tend to build, even though you're in the fringes of London, we're kind of in the suburban areas where the biggest draws really is, I guess, schools, more green spaces, a lot of families, I guess, where we build, but then again, a lot of downsizers as well. So probably this area out in Buckinghamshire is probably as out of our London area, North London area that we've branched out to, but and it is a different market. And I think this area, specifically where it's located, next to Marlow, the river, next to Beaconsfield, all of these areas together, and Ascot as well. You really, really, I think, benefit from, one, being able to get into London. The train links are great, but you just get so much space. There's just so much more land and greenery.
There is. It's a lovely site. It is. It's going to look amazing when it's all done. Let's continue.
Should we go upstairs?
Are we allowed to?
Yeah, of course.
So the target buyer for a property like this is what?
I think it's a lot of families in the area.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of downsizers in the area as well. We have had quite a lot of interest from downsizers, which is probably something we didn't expect, given this.
Sorry, did you say downsizers?
Yeah. So when we originally started the project, we were like, yep, it's definitely going to be families.
Right.
But yeah, we've got interest from families and downsizers. So it's,
okay, wow. And are you getting some interest off plan?
We are already. We're trying really hard not to entertain a lot of interest, and just because I think with the development of this caliber, it's really important to show the buyer the finished product.
I agree, yeah.
So we are going to wait to do a formal launch, and that's just to get maximum impact of the site.
It's quite hard though sometimes, right? It's a bit of a balancing act. Like on the one side, you really want to kind of
get the sales in,
get a few sales ready, so that when the project is complete, a big chunk can go back to paying off the loans. But at the same time, I agree with when you're dealing with a high-end property and you're putting in so much effort to the detailing and everything, you really want the buyer to see all of that.
Yes.
And I think that's the only way you're going to maximize the price.
Again, it depends on
sale.
the price point. So I think,
Yeah.
in some of our developments, we will take that strategy. We'll launch off plan, we'll, invest in getting really good quality CGI imagery done.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful for a buyer to visualize. But then I think you get to a certain price point where that may not always be enough, or you may not really be able to maximize on that value until you've finished everything. So here we made the decision to do.
Yeah, that's good. Is this your largest project that you've
It is
ever?
actually, yeah. Largest in terms of square footage, largest in terms of GDV,
Incredible.
but not largest in terms of units. So,
Right, yeah.
So you go into the master?
Yeah.
And so again, like with the master, they all have a similar concept layout, but they're all different. So you've got your bedroom area here. And, for example, we've gone into the effort of actually thinking where like your TVs are going to go. So because you don't have a wall facing you, this was designed to have a TV like at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
Where you get those beds where a TV can come out of. So the floor box is inserted already in there. You come to a walk-in wardrobe area,
Okay.
which is going to be fully kitted out with joinery.
And do you design that all yourself?
We do. I mean, obviously we
joinery?
work with a lot of suppliers as well, but it's a mixture between the bespoke interiors team and the suppliers.
Sure.
And you've got your bathroom here. So we have like a freestanding bath.
Bathtub.
You've got a vanity, like a his and hers vanity, and then we've hidden like the shower space and the loo space behind, just for a bit of privacy.
Yeah. That's amazing.
This is the dining room, which is part of the kitchen.
Yeah.
So big table here with hanging pendants, a little seating area in the corner. We'll do a little bar unit as well over here. Have to visualize everything right now. But
I hope you have us back again when it's all done.
would love to,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's going to look.
We'll do some before and after shots.
Yeah. So, do you tend to stage the properties as well when they're done?
Always.
At least one of them.
Always, yes. We'll always do one.
Yeah.
There's been some times where we've done two as well. And that would just be if we had a reason to do it. So, for example, if we've got a lot of variation in the plot sometimes, and the variations can be quite large, then it does help the buyer visualize maybe different floor plans. But yeah, we'll always have one show home every time. Yeah, and it's fully bespoke, so everything is kind of bought and curated for that particular home. And we do find a lot of the times the buyers want to buy the furniture with the house as well, which is really nice.
So this is, you mentioned that this was like your biggest project to date in terms of square footage and gross development value as well. Were there many challenges on this one?
There was actually. I think the main challenge with this one was the levels. So there was a small house on the plot. It was like an outbuilding type thing on the plot, and then it was just lots of grass and just overgrown sort of garden area. And until we really cleared it all, you couldn't really, I think, understand the sheer level difference between the end of the site and the front of the site.
It's huge. It's a big
huge, and you can see
change.
there's retaining walls everywhere. I think with the retaining walls, once it's landscaped, it's going to look beautiful.
Right.
And the other thing is because you have all the levels, all the houses have an amazing view of the countryside out there, which you probably wouldn't have got if you didn't have the level change. But really, just planning for the level change in terms of site progression, that was a bit challenging. But apart from that, like I said before, the steps are the same, just the scale is different.
So 13 years in, are you still enjoying it?
I am. I love it. I won't lie. I do love it. I feel every day is different, and I think that's probably what I thrive off. Having different challenges with different sites. But yeah, that's what keeps it exciting. You've got to be positive about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's not an easy journey. There's so many challenges, as you know, with a site, and there's always curveballs that you find along the way. It could be on the construction side. It could be, some sort of planning element. There's just so much. It's an ever-changing environment.
So what trends do you see changing property development in the future, and how are you adapting
Yeah,
for that?
I think, net zero is a big one. And we all kind of are now required to be a lot more sustainable in the build. So that's quite a challenge.
Yeah.
It's sometimes easier said than done, but it's all about trying to integrate the sustainable technology while making sure that the specification is not compromised. So that's always a bit of a challenge, I think, in the way things are moving. But apart from that, I think our industry, things like modern construction methods, maybe that's an angle that we can explore more. And I think in the UK, people still like traditional builds. So we do find a little bit of resistance on that, just from the market point. Really different. Let's go down this way so we're not in the way of the digger. So as you can see, again, level change. All the houses have garages. So the one that we walked into had the garage with the living accommodation above.
Yeah.
These ones are almost sunken, as you can see. So you've got the big retaining walls that are holding back the earth. You then have a sunken almost garage, which is going to have a green roof on the top. So it just really almost forms part of the landscaping.
Yeah, okay. So with all these level changes, I guess that was a bit of a challenge as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
are these built on pile foundations or trench foundations? How are they?
Yeah, they're traditional trench foundations. And I mean, the amount of sort of level change, we had to reduce the earth so much and then put the retaining walls in. So it's very expensive to do.
Yeah, I can imagine. Wow.
So that's definitely one of the challenges as well in this project. So even though we didn't have piled foundation, which are expensive, we had to spend the extra money on this.
Right. The retaining walls went in first, and then yeah.
Because almost like it holds everything up. You need to put the retaining wall in to
Yeah.
get your level to do the foundation. So it made sense to start from the top of the site and work our way down as we reduced kind of the ground level as it went out. Now we're going to go to mind your step and your head.
Right.
So we're going again through the utility entrance. I mean, another challenge has been like when you're trying to get all your M&E in without removing or taking anything away from the interior design. So like putting in your concealed AC units. They all have to have access panels, and you really need to try and think about how we're going to integrate all of that so that it looks like it's not there, even though it is. So this is again the open plan room like we had in the other house. So you got your kitchen in the middle, you got a family living there, dining room here with these sort of skylights.
Yeah.
There's a lot of light coming in.
When did you start on site? A year ago?
June of last year, so just over a year ago now.
Just over a year. And when do you anticipate practical completion?
Yeah, so we're not far off now. So I think we'll be doing the formal launch in the spring of next year. And yeah, we'll be snagging an internal works after that.
A turnaround of
about 18 months
18
on site.
months on site.
Yeah. So that's the front door. And we've done something different here in the sense that we've got more of an open plan layout, which is quite an American layout, you could say. So you don't have the enclosed lobby. You got your come in, you got your stairs, and you almost enter into this area, which is again a formal dining space with double height ceilings. And then you kind of have the gallery above to all the bedrooms.
Okay.
So there's a lot of space, and you can see like the layout is totally different, even though you're still going to have your formal living room, your study, your open plan. So they have the same types of, I guess, rooms, but in a totally different configuration. And we're making sure we're putting in like wired music systems as well.
And the Lutron lighting system.
Yeah.
So how much is this property worth? Like when it's done, what will it be worth?
So all of the homes range about the £3.5 to £4.5 million mark. They're determined, I guess, by the size, the plot sizes as well. For example, some of the plots at the back have really big plot sizes, really large gardens. And there's some of the plots towards the front of the site have a slightly smaller plot size.
Yeah.
So that's really the key differences.
Prior to this, what was your largest project? And were you kind of afraid to take that big jump to a project of this size?
That's probably the honest answer is yes. I mean, the biggest one we did before that was 8 houses. They were all, 4 or 5 bedroom houses again, but the GDV value and the size of the plots in terms of construction size is where we really jumped on. Yes, there was a little bit of fear in that, but I think we were ready for it.
Okay.
So we had to set up for it. The numbers all made sense. And we've got to kind of push ourselves, I think.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. But it is scary, right?
Always, always. And I think you have to kind of just identify that.
Yeah.
And make sure, I think
it's a calculated risk at the end of the day.
Calculated risk, and I always felt that if the more calculation you do, the more, the due diligence research you do, that's really how you mitigate that fear.
Definitely.
That's your study, that's your lounge, and that's your staircase. It's going to come here.
Wow, it's just going to look incredible.
Yeah, I really like this plot. But then I feel like I walk into every plot and I'm like, oh, I really like this plot.
This particular one, right?
Yeah, they're all different. So all of them you walk in and they all have something amazing about it.
All right.
Now, mind your head again. You're going to go through the scaffold.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, thanks for showing us around. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for coming. What? It's really, really nice, I think, to showcase the journey of how we get to the finished product.
Absolutely.
And I think we never kind of show that. We just show the show home and the final picture. But there's so much work and time and effort that goes into it before we get to that stage. So it's
there's
nice,
so many
I think.
there's so many hurdles you need to go through, even to get to site, and then once you're on site, there's a whole bunch of other hurdles and steps you need to take. It takes a particular kind of person to face those kind of challenges. And,
it's loving that journey, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone can sort of stomach these kind of challenges, and most people would quit.
Well, quitting's not an option. So I think
once you start,
sooner you just figure that out. The only way you're going to go is straight to the other end.
Yeah.
And then you take each, challenge as it comes and try and look at it objectively because every problem has a solution, and that's the beauty of it.
Exactly. And I've said before in a previous video, property development is pretty much 90% is sort of problem solving, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what keeps me going anyway.
Yeah.
It's just different challenge every day, facing different challenges.
Some days are harder than others, but
and how to solve them. So
and I think over time and experience, you become better at solving them. Because sometimes the problems that come up, you've experienced them already on other sites.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think that experience becomes really, really helpful.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, look, thanks for having us. It's been amazing. Thanks for showing us around your site.
It's been a pleasure.
Your journey, your story has been incredible. So keep going. Not only are you an inspiration for aspiring female developers, but also developers in general. I think what you've achieved is amazing.
Thank you.
So keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Rutu's story is amazing. And if you did enjoy the video, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at the next one.